wanted to say welcome to everybody here today. I'm Wade Northhausen. We come from Billboard Battalion. We've come across here today from Echuca. Nick's from out west of Echuca, so she's been a little bit of a drive to get here. This sort of stuff, we travel around a lot of Australia. We do a lot of these kind of things and involve ourselves with communities. A lot of the times we're called to come to communities to speak to these issues and try and connect communities to other ones to push certain issues. And this renewable energy stuff is massive. It's Australian-wide. In fact, it's worldwide. And we operate from up in Queensland through New South Wales, back home here to Vic, across to South Australia and Western Australia. So a lot of the times people sort of think that they're battling things on their own when in fact they're not. This is happening right across the country, and communities everywhere are opposing this renewable infrastructure disaster. In Victoria here, if the renewable infrastructure comes to fruition as government wants it to, the Victorian government's own reports say that this will take up 70% of Victoria's productive farmland. Now, this is horrendous. The main thing that we need to be pushing here is that this is not an accident. They've deliberately shut down the coal-fired power stations. They're deliberately trying to send the coal industry broke. And if we look back in Victoria to when the Kennett government sold off the power stations here, that was the start of the downfall. And they did that because they claimed that the cost of repairs to the power stations was so enormous that they considered it was a great win economically to have some companies buy up the power stations here in Vic. Now, the real deal is that these plans have been in place for 100 years, and that was part of winding it down, so that gave them the excuse to sell it off to other people. And these are the things that are happening. And wherever we go across Australia, whether it's Queensland here or southwestern Western Australia, people are saying the same things, and people do not want unreliable so-called renewable energy. They push it down everybody's throat that this is clean and green and cheap. You listen to Bowen talk, you listen to many of the politicians talk, many of the Greens, the Teals and so on, the Labor Party, they say, this is clean and green, it's the cheapest form of energy. It is not. And it's never going to be, and it never was. They try and tell you that this stuff is environmentally friendly. It's not. You get up into Queensland, they're pushing the top off mountains in the rainforest areas. When you look at the cost of all the mining, putting together all the components, the fact that these things can't be recycled, when they're dead and buried, they have to bury them in landfill. The windmills, the solar panels, nothing of this is recyclable. So at the end of the day, economically and environmentally, it is a disaster. And the thing is, they know it. But they're still pushing that because this is a part of a plan that we see. It's a global plan to wipe out our economies, wipe out our communities. And what we're going to see happen, pursuant to World Economic Forum plans, UN and WHO plans, you're going to see rural areas start to be shut down. And this is all part of what they call human-free zones. If you look at the 30 by 30 plan, by the year 2030, 30% of populated areas are no longer going to be populated. So this is very, very serious stuff. And we right now are at the crossroads of history for the safety and the livelihoods of our kids and our grandkids. For me, for Nick, for Belinda, and all the others who have been in the Billboard Battalion team, this is not our preferred thing to be doing. I'm a farmer, Nick's got a business, Belinda's with me. We've got other things to do. I'd much rather be sitting on a tractor ploughing up paddocks. I'd much rather be working stock doing hay and silage, the sort of stuff I love doing. Nick's got his business here. We do this because this is so serious. And for someone such as myself, I've been involved in agricultural politics for 40 odd years and a lot of other social justice issues. And I can tell you right now, what's happened over the last 4 or 5 years, we've been expecting for quite some time. This has been planned for centuries to get to this point. So I just wanted to say that it's great to see such a big turnout here today. Our shires, our local governments across the country, our state and federal governments are doing the wrong thing, and they know they're doing the wrong thing. Many of the shires have signed up to the agenda 21 years ago. And I don't know if anybody saw the publicity that a few months ago Katrina Roundtree got down around Geelong, where she comes from, about a big battery setup that they want to put down there right next to her place. And she was saying how the Geelong councillors were blindsided by this application and this planning thing that they wanted to do down there. Well, I'm here to tell you that the Shire councillors and the bureaucracy have known about this for a long time. They've been signed up to it, they're on board with it, and you'll find very few councils who do not want to see this stuff happening. And there's all sorts of different reasons for that. We see many of our governments, many of our politicians, many of our particularly main parties who are behind this, they're all signed up to it. So therefore, we need to really start to understand this is a situation. We've got enormous problems out west of Echuca where we are with transmission lines and transmission towers. They want to put the wind turbines out around home. They want to put wind turbines out west of where we are, around Horsham. The place looks like a minefield now. All you can see is windmills. So we'll just hand over for a second and go from there.
So I'd just like to thank Tom for coming along. He's brought the microphone, which is great. I'd just like to thank all the people here for making an effort to come along and give Dederang your support at this council meeting, which is going to be very significant. Yes, for my life and my husband's out on our farm, but for the future of the Kiewa Valley. That's what we've always been fighting for. This is about the future of agriculture in our valley. It's about putting dangerous infrastructure, on farmland with a significant landscape overlay, a bit like the Katrina Roundtree one. But we need to focus on our fight, and there's a lot going on around Australia, I know, and I wish I didn't know what I now know. But I've always said, eyes on the prize. We're focused at the minute on the Kiewa Valley, and I think that has to be our main focus. And I'd really like to thank Tim McCurdy. He's been full of support the whole way through, which has been fabulous. And I'd also like to thank James Trinery for coming along today. He's the Liberal candidate for Indi to stand against Helen Haynes. Who has not been all that supportive, I must say. So once again, thank you very much to all the people that have helped and supported, because this is a people power thing. We can't do it without all the people, and really, that's what this is about. Going in there and telling our council, who are there representing us, that we do not want this in the Kiewa Valley. It's not the right place. It's dangerous, it's across waterways, it's going to make noise for the people that live around it. The fire risk is huge. There's one a month going up around the world. They say that it's safe, but hey, they told us lead paint was safe, and asbestos and Teflon. The list goes on. So they're not safe. They cannot guarantee that it won't burn. We're in a high fire danger area, so it's just the wrong place. So thank you for your support. Really appreciate everyone turning out. And please be respectful.
Thank you, Sharon, for the wonderful work you've done.
And I just want to add to Sharon's comments and thank everybody. everybody for coming. But at the end of the day, let's be respectful. We won't win any friends or any support if we're too rowdy, too noisy. I get passion, I get emotion. At the end of the day, we need to be respectful. We've got elected representatives in there. Let's hope that they're acting in our best interest. At the end of the day, we're all adults in the room, and I just want to make sure that everybody does the right thing. And I know you will. We've had plenty of meetings, but just it's a handy reminder again. We get emotional and we get a bit crazy sometimes, but in these circumstances, let's make sure that we're all respectful and see how the night goes. And let's hope it ends up in our favour. So thanks very much.
Well, that's a very good question that I do not know the answer to.
We all
yet.
say
I
blue.
cried.
It's in the hands of the state. At the end of the day, it's in the hands of the state and so the decision whether they support it or don't support it tonight, it still goes to the state. They support you 100% and knock this out. Doesn't mean to say it's all done and dusted. It still comes back to the state. But it would be very healthy support if the council show that.
And the state actually have promised, unlike I believe our council representatives, to read our documents that we've sent in, because when I read their report, there's no way that they read anything that we submitted, in my view. And the state, they have promised that everything that we send in will count. So, you know, but how do we know? That's the question.
Thanks, Sharon. So, a bit earlier on today, we went out to Sharon's place, and she showed us out at Dederang where this facility would go if it was approved. You know, pristine area, mountainous country, close to the feed to the Kiewa River. But the whole thing is a disaster. So, and as she said, this is a local area issue. Fire hazards are critically important. Now, I've done about 40 years, a bit over 40 years in Country Fire Authority. Fires, nasty stuff. And when you see these things burn, you see the videos, the toxic fumes, the smoke that's coming out of this stuff into a valley that has virtually no ventilation. You know, this would be a disaster. So anyway, I might leave it there. As I said, you know, you go into these things, it is absolutely imperative that people are courteous and that people are respectful on both sides. So, you know, we've done this a lot, and yelling and screaming doesn't achieve anything. This is where we have to be seen by the public to be credible and respectful. That's the only way that we can do this. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll pack this stuff up now, and almost must be really time to head on in. So thanks, everybody. Just wanted to say thanks to all our other media who are here. We go to a lot of these things here, and I must say, for everybody who can't hear, might sort of move in a bit if we also do a bit of photo ops for that for other people who are here. It is really, really fantastic to see a place like a very small town here, particularly fighting for something in Dederang, the size of Dederang. You know, we get such a huge crowd here. I reckon there would have been between 250 to possibly 275 people here in this hall today. Very, very clearly, you know, there's a lot wrong with the proposal for this battery setup, and you know, it's great to see community actually start to have a win. With all this stuff, you know, we're fighting against very, very powerful governments, very powerful international, multinational companies and corporations, a huge amount of money, endless budgets, and here today we've seen the influence of the local community on your councils. Now, we're not from this region here, but you know, this is just an example of what can happen when community comes together and sticks together and not allow themselves to be pushed around. You know, a lot of good points were made today by some of the councillors. You know, and I think far, far too often we see a lot of this stuff now just being rubber stamped with the repercussions which are not made available or taken into account at the start of things, and then it starts to go wrong when the wheels fall off things. So I'd just like to say on behalf of Billboard Battalion, it's been an absolute pleasure to come across here today. Great big thanks to Sharon and her family for showing us the battery installation there, Kevin, wherever Kevin got to. Made a bit of a hasty exit there, but I'm led to believe that's pretty well Kevin. You know, thanks very much to everybody's terrific hospitality today. It's been absolutely magnificent. We're heading back to Echuca now, as soon as we've wrapped it up here today. Then tomorrow we're heading to Melbourne. We've got conferences and stuff on in Melbourne. So we're getting around a lot of the countryside. We're pushing on behalf of a lot of issues, primarily agricultural issues. We're fighting for our farmers. So this has been an absolute pleasure to come across here today. And thanks very much to Chick Fenton from Stand in the Park, Albury, for the invitation to come over here. You know, we've got to know Chick pretty well. A lot of the organisations and so on that are happening these days, we're involved in a lot of stuff all over the countryside. So once again, thanks very much to everybody for your terrific hospitality. Well done. I think you've had a great win today. The council recommendation, they wouldn't ask for it in the first place if it didn't carry weight. So I think that you know, the minister needs to start taking some very serious interest in what's happening. We know that the governments are not interested in the people of Victoria. We know that they're interested in much, much bigger picture stuff and multinational corporates. So well done to you. Thanks very much. And yeah, we might see you again when the next thing's going on. So thank you.
associated with the potential fire hazards cannot be ignored. The possibility of fires caused by battery failures or malfunctions presents an unacceptable threat.